Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video, I'll be doing my AFL Fantasy injury update. And so before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe as this channel's had really good growth. And yeah, let's get into the video and go through all the major injuries that have happened this week. So as you can see here, Gawn's probably the star that's the biggest star that's been injured and how it will affect Melbourne, I guess. So firstly, let's get into Adelaide. Crouch is a test, and Darcy Fogarty is a test, and he's really in doubt for their game. And Parnell obviously got concussed, and no one else really here is fantasy relevant, other than I would think maybe Matt Crouch a little bit, and Darcy Fogarty might cause a restructure in the forward line, meaning that Rochelle plays more forward, I would suspect. And then, yeah, but there's not much fancy-wise for Adelaide. A lot of these guys are just sort of mid-prices that aren't going to rise in price and just play their average. Brisbane, you've got just Coleman is a concussion at the moment, and it's a real unknown when he's going to come back. Obviously, he wasn't selected for the game, I don't believe. Just want to check. No, he was selected, so don't worry about that news. He's obviously back. I haven't gone, if it wasn't obvious, I haven't gone and actually checked really in depth the teams for team reveal yet for the first game, the Thursday night. So, and these aren't the best updated. So, Coleman, don't have to worry about him. And, yeah, like I had in my notes, he should be fine for the Thursday night game, and yep, was selected. So moving on to Carlton, and the main two are Hewitt and Walsh, and it looks like Hewitt should be good, but we'll have to wait and see on the Thursday night teams, but I'm pretty confident he'll be back. And then you've got Walsh, who we just don't know at the moment. They haven't put really a timeline on. But going from earlier reports, I thought it was around round 6 or so that he was supposed to be back, give or take. But that could be completely wrong now. That was a couple months ago, as well as the fact that things just change, and I could just be wrong in when it was actually the case. If you guys have further information on that, put that in the comments so that we can build up, I guess, a better database of the players that are out, etc. for long term, etc. And yeah, there's no one else really here that is too fantasy friendly. Then we move on to Collingwood, and Jeremy Howe arm injury still out. That may cause some changes to the Collingwood backline. Well, I mean changes as in players have to stick by that stick in the side that weren't necessarily in the Collingwood best 22. And then you've got Patrick Lipinski is shoulder, and as we can see here, post mid-season bye. So, I mean, that sort of sucks for him. What's he priced at? 700k or so, I believe. As I even looked at him in the preset. Yeah, 711k. So, yeah, not a good thing. One thing I would like to add on Collingwood is that Finn McRae, I believe, priced at 290. 290k. He had a really strong return to the VFL. I believe he put up 113. I have the stats down here. 34 touches, 3 marks, 6 tackles, 1 goal, 1. And he's someone that I think could quite easily push into the side, whether it be a forward roll and kick out the likes of Bobby Hill for a week or someone like that, because you also got to remember that Ginnivan's probably going to come back in 2 or 3 weeks and kick out Bobby Hill as well. So, or that's at least my perspective on it. It could be wrong. But I think Finn McRae could easily make the emergencies this week and push for a return, or not a return, but push for a first game this year. And not this round, but probably next round, I would suspect, and that would really help out, as I need to find a rookie if I'm going to go do that Cogs move. So Essendon, Sardis, 11 to 13 weeks, that's tough. So that really derails him for pretty much any fantasy relevance this year. But next year, if he's put on ice, which I could suspect that could be the case, if he doesn't improve in the next 4 or 5 weeks, he could be put on ice for the season. We may see him priced at, well, what's he priced at now? I spelled that wrong. Sardis 292, takes 70% of that. 292 times 0.7 is 204. So he's going to be a basement price basically next year if he gets put on ice, and that'll be definitely an odds. That'll definitely be a guy that you just put on the bench and let him rise next year when he plays. Peter Right Shoulder, TBC, Zerk Thatcher chest. That could change things up if he's out. And I don't think there's much relevance here for anyone else. Freo, you just have the Nat 5 test. And he hasn't really done anything fantasy friendly, but he could obviously just, if he was to go back to a midfield role, which I don't think he would, he could easily average 80, but I think up forward, he's going to average like 60, 55, to be honest. Geelong have Tom Stewart another 2 to 3 weeks. I've actually, in the last 12, 18 hours, heard that could be a little bit long, as in they're optimistic he could return in 1 to 2 weeks. So that could help, I guess, us in the fact that he could be one of those big upgrades that we get, especially with his bye being round 12. Is it round 12? His bye being with only Gold Coast in a 2-team bye, he could be really, really valuable during the byes if he shows that he's consistently putting up tons, because we can get him around 730, 720k for a guy that probably should be priced at 860, 870 for the output that he could put up. So that's sort of similar to what I expect from Setterfield type scenario, but it's just about picking him up in the right round, I think, at this point when he returns. Stanley is a test, so we'll see what happens there. And then Mitch Duncan is another test as well, and he's very close to a return, it says here. So that will be really, really good, I guess. And we'll just see how the role impacts Bose and other players as well. Now on to Gold Coast, and you've got both these guys are a test, and Lemons returned, is set to return through either VFL or AFL, so we'll see. And Ellis, TBC, this is just helping out Constable, basically. This is the only thing that I see from this, and we'll just see what happens. GWS, you've got Whitfield and Kelly should be back, and then Weir is out with 3 months with a shoulder. Wow, that's tough. Yeah, he's just been beaten up by anyone that in both the games. Bruce out for 2 months still, so Matty Flynn becomes, I guess, a slight option. Perryman's still out for 4 to 6 weeks. Madden, there's not any ruckman, it doesn't look like, at GWS, so maybe Flynn becomes an option for people that are struggling with Jerry trades and stuff like that, and other ruckmen that have gone down. And then nothing much else here from the report on GWS. The Hawks, Mitchell Lewis 2 to 4 weeks, Chad Wingard a test. There's not much to really look into, I don't think, fantasy-wise. I want to just check. What did Lewis average last year? Lewis last year would have averaged, let me just check here, 2022, 63, so not really fancy relevant. So yeah, not the best. And then Melbourne, you come on to Gawn is suspected 4 to 6 weeks. And Stephen May is a test. Does it say here? He was a late withdrawal, so he should be able to play against the Swans. And Shaki concussed in the VFL, and no one else here really any major shuffles this week. Salem 6 to 8 weeks, so I just think he's had a horror 2 years, honestly, with injuries and stuff, so I don't think he's going to be an option at all this year. North Melbourne, Sherry, they just don't know. Mackay, 2 to 3 weeks. Maybe he'll be back in time to play Carlton. Brandon George, season over. Curtis, test with an illness. I believe we've had some news with, I believe it was last night that Simpkin could be dropped. And then we've got here a lot more news here, and Curtis should be playing on Saturday, but I don't know at the moment. I need to look this up further. George Wardlaw returned to the VFL, and he looked really good. So I think he'll play next week, to be honest. I don't think he'll play this week. I think he'll get another run in the VFL and then play next week. Jackson Archer is another one. You're probably going to have to see Archer play a game in the AFL, see how his role is, and then go and pick him up. But he was a guy that I thought could break out this year. Port Adelaide, Trent McKenzie. You had Rosie, as I mentioned in another video. He passed his HIA or whatever head injury assessment, whatever you want to call it. So he's fine, and nothing else really from Port. Then Richmond, you've got no one really. Oh yeah, Hopper is confirmed out. Martin confirmed out. Short confirmed out for the games. So that's huge for anyone that owns them, but also huge in the fact that they're playing not Melbourne, they're playing Collingwood, and Collingwood should probably run over their midfield, and to be honest, it just makes it further in favour of Collingwood after that. But we could see the likes of Tim Taranto up his scoring because there's outs in the midfield. And Short's out for 1 to 2 weeks. Dusty Martin's a test, and Hopper was a test, so there'll be tests next week, I'm guessing. Then you come to St Kilda, and yeah, this list is long. So Allison is a rookie ruckman, indefinite foot. Billings is still out for 5 to 8 weeks. Jack Bytel is, I'm pretty sure, if it isn't confirmed, it's pretty much confirmed that he'll be playing in place of Steele. Caulfield, 3 to 5 weeks. Haynes, another ruckman, 11 weeks. Ruckman in their foots at St Kilda. Houghton, I need to actually probably look up Houghton. I don't know what position he plays. Midfield forward, he's injured. Zach Jones, injured. Achilles, that could be honestly season if it's Achilles. Keeler, another forward. I mean, not a forward, another key position. Ruckman as well. Knee injury, 4 to 6 weeks. Max King, key position. Forward, 5 to 8 weeks. And you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. Tim Embry, 5. They've got 5 forward / ruckman out, and that's why Philippu's scoring is so bad at the moment. Steele's 4 to 6 weeks, so he'll be probably 3 weeks out, knowing him. Membry knees 3 to 5 weeks, so we're really going to have to wait 3 to 5 weeks just to see Philippu tick up in scoring and output. So yeah, they have the 150th game, and yeah, but Bytel should be back, and Webster should be back apparently, even though it says 1 to 2 weeks. Sydney, you've got Clark, Fox, Hickey, Reed, 3 weeks, but I don't think Reed would just be an Amati replacement. I think with the way the team I expect to plan out, it should be the same team except for Buddy in for McLean, I think would be it, as you've got Amati, and even Logan McDonald can have 5% in the ruck, can do ruck contacts up forward, etc. But you've got Hickey another 4 weeks, Ryan Clark 1 to 2 weeks, and if we look at the Sydney Swans, here they've got Ryan Clark 1 to 2 weeks, so he's got 1 to 2 weeks, and he's got 2 to 3 games to pick up in form before we play Collingwood, and he will tag Nick Dacos. He will also probably tag Whitfield in this game if he plays, and then tag a Richmond defender, probably Short if Short's going to play in defence. Geelong, probably Duncan gets tagged in this game, so you start another tagger on the board for starting to disrupt defence if he comes back, because I expect him to come back and play. They might drop a tall, but he should be at least on the bench, which should help as well. But we'll see with him. I think he does come back into the side though. He 1 to 2 weeks and 1 game or 2 in the VFL, and then should be back for AFL. Then you got West Coast. Elliot Yeo still a test, and it appears unlikely that he will play, which sort of sucks. Then you got Jai Cully a test, so hopefully he comes back and we get a couple of games of sample to see how he does. And then no one else really important. And then we go to the last team, the Western Bulldogs, and they have Trelaw is back, I believe. Let me just check, as they would have their team's name. Trelaw is back, so that's good. And then you've got Waitman still's a little while away. Rory Lobb should be back, I believe. Does it say? Yeah, racing to get back in time. Well, Trelaw's back, and let's check Lobb. Lobb is playing, so that's good. So yeah, those that's really, no one else is fancy friendly there. So that's the review done of the AFL injuries for round 3, and I guess this was going to be a longer video, as I had to go through all the players that I guess picked up injuries in the preseason, as I hadn't done it for round 1 or 2. And yeah, so now I'm sort of settling into a schedule of doing round updates of all the games and videos for injuries, as we had here: team preview, team review, cash cows, and trade targets. So yeah, I'll see you guys in another video sometime soon. Thanks guys, goodbye.